In 1977, two very strange sounds were recorded from under the ocean. Their frequency was very low, while the amplitude was very high. These were recorded by the radar of the U.S. Atmospheric Administration. But what's surprising is that the same sounds were also recorded by other radars 5,000 kilometers away. After calculations, the location of these sounds was estimated, and it was found that they were generated deep under the sea in a very remote area of the South Pacific Ocean. At that time, these sounds were named bloop, and research began to find out what exactly these terrifying sounds were. Apparently, these sounds had to belong to something very massive, but nothing of that sort was found in that part of the ocean. For many years, it was believed that some giant mythical sea creature lived beneath that part of the ocean. But after 2012, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration changed its stance and claimed that the sounds recorded in 1977 were actually generated due to glacial movement, the shifting of glaciers. But the truth is still unknown. The exact point where these sounds were recorded is now the site of something very unique. At this exact point in the South Pacific Ocean lies a part of the sea that is surrounded on all four sides by thousands of miles of open water with no land in sight. This place is called the Oceanic Pole of Inaccessibility, also known as Point Nemo. The nearest piece of land from here is about 2,688 kilometers away, and even that is not of any practical use because it is the South Pole. Antarctica. The nearest populated landmass from Point Nemo is the coastal part of Chile, about 3,334 kilometers away, while New Zealand lies on the other side at a distance of 4,700 kilometers. That's why Point Nemo is considered the most desolate and isolated place in the world. It's so isolated that the closest humans to it are not on Earth, but surprisingly, astronauts aboard the International Space Station, which passes 400 kilometers above Point Nemo once or twice a day. Despite being cut off from the world, Point Nemo is not without purpose. Beneath this part of the ocean lie the remains of human inventions that once cost fortunes. Yes, Point Nemo is the graveyard of broken satellites, spacecraft, and rocket parts. But the question arises, where were satellites crashed before Point Nemo was discovered? Why is there even a need to crash them? And most importantly, how are satellites guided precisely to Point Nemo? Welcome once again to a video by ASTV. Point Nemo is located in the South Pacific Ocean, spread across an area of 220 million square kilometers. It is so vast that the world's largest country, Russia, could fit inside it, and there would still be enough room left for about 5 countries the size of Egypt. But in these 220 million square kilometers, no human population exists. Not only that, but even underwater, many sea creatures cannot survive here. Researchers believe that the conditions here are extremely challenging, making it hard for sea life to survive. Point Nemo is located in a very remote and deep area of the South Pacific Ocean, where the water temperature is cold and the nutrients are almost non-existent. Due to oceanic currents, strong water flows, nutrients don't reach this part of the ocean. Water keeps rotating in circles in this region, which prevents the nutrient-rich water from other parts of the Pacific Ocean from flowing in. That's why there's a lack of nutrients here. Wherever nutrients are scarce, plankton and other microscopic organisms, the base of the food chain, are also few. The depth of the ocean at this point is about 3,700 meters, 12,100 feet. Sunlight cannot reach such depths, so photosynthesis cannot occur. Any sea life that exists here would be deep-sea organisms like squids, bioluminescent fish, and other deep-sea creatures that can survive extreme conditions. In 1992, a Canadian engineer was the first to discover Point Nemo using various mathematical calculations. This place is so remote that even the person who discovered it has never been there. 9 years later, in 2001, it was first used by the Russian Space Agency. Because Point Nemo lies in international waters, meaning no country owns it. Therefore, different space agencies around the world don't need permission to crash their space objects here. On March 23, 2001, the Russian space station Mir had completed 15 years since its launch, and was no longer capable of remaining in mission mode. So, the Russian Space Agency deorbited it, removed it from Earth's orbit, and crashed it into Point Nemo. After that, other space agencies also found this location very suitable and began using it to dump their spacecraft. Over the last 23 years, this graveyard has grown, and now more than 260 spacecraft debris lie beneath Point Nemo. Soon, even the International Space Station will be buried here, because according to NASA, the ISS is expected to be decommissioned by 2030. Satellites or spacecraft are made with extreme precision and detail. Even after spending millions of dollars on them, they are not built to last forever. Just like how products have expiry dates, space objects also have an expiration date, after which it becomes essential to crash them in a controlled manner. If not, the spacecraft could go out of control, leaving orbit and crashing down on Earth unpredictably. In 1978, the Soviet satellite Cosmos 954 experienced a malfunction and lost contact with its base station. The satellite remained in orbit for some time, but eventually it started moving toward Earth uncontrollably. The biggest danger wasn't just that it was out of control, but that it contained a nuclear reactor, which powered it. Though the satellite burned up in the sky, radioactive material spread over northern Canada. After this, a massive cleanup operation was launched called Operation Morning Light, with the sole objective of locating and cleaning the radioactive material. Fortunately, there were no human casualties, but the incident revealed the dangers of powering satellites with nuclear energy. Additionally, in 1997, a woman named Lottie Williams from Oklahoma was walking in a park when suddenly, something hit her shoulder. It turned out to be a piece of a Delta II rocket, which had broken apart miles above when it re-entered the atmosphere. Though Lottie Williams was not injured, this incident opened everyone's eyes. To avoid such accidents in the future, space objects are now crashed over desolate parts of the ocean. Before the discovery of Point Nemo, these crashes were also done over the Pacific Ocean or remote land areas. When a satellite or spacecraft needs to be crashed, its thrusters are used to first remove it from orbit. Even after being removed, it continues to orbit the Earth for months, slowly drawing closer. Engineers carefully calculate when, where, and in what position the thrusters need to be activated. Before entering Earth's atmosphere, the thrusters are reactivated to direct it toward Point Nemo. Remember, in space there's no air or pressure, so there's no friction. Satellites in orbit can keep circling without power for months. Their speed is usually around 15,000 kilometers per hour, and when they re-enter the atmosphere at that speed, friction causes temperatures to rise to 3,000 degrees Celsius. This turns them into fireballs, melting the metals and disintegrating them. In most cases, the debris vaporizes before hitting the ground, but sometimes, some debris does fall on Earth, and if it falls on a populated area, it can cause heavy damage. That's why they are directed toward the 220 million square kilometer area of Point Nemo, to keep people safe from harm. Speaking of the name, Nemo is a Latin word meaning no one, because there are no humans, no sea creatures here, and the location is such that even ships avoid passing through. Vessels avoid such areas because in case of an emergency, help is nearly impossible to get. If you were ever stuck at Point Nemo, it would take 2 weeks for help to arrive by ship. And only a few helicopters in the world, such as the Sikorsky S-92, Westland AW-101, and Lockheed Martin the 571, can travel 3,000 kilometers, and even they might not be able to return due to fuel limits. Reaching Point Nemo and conducting underwater research, there is a dream of the scientific community. Perhaps in the future, research will be conducted there, and the mystery of the 1977 sounds will finally be revealed. We hope you enjoyed this video from ASTV. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your valuable comments. Thank you for your love and support. See you in the next amazing video.